Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and today I'd like to share with you my January reading wrap-up. So normally I think most people would probably agree that it's good to go ahead and film your monthly TBR for the next month before the end of the month, and then, you know, as soon as the month is over, some people even do it before the month is over, they'll film their wrap-up, and that's sort of the normal order of things. A lot of times I end up filming my wrap up before my TBR for the next month. And I think it's because I tend to think chronologically. I sort of need to finish up the previous month before I can really move forward into the next month. But this month was going to be an exception. I actually filmed my February reading plans yesterday. Now, yesterday was February 1st. So, you know, by BookTube standards, I was still a little bit late. But it was because of that thing you guys heard about called the BookTube Spin. And that didn't get announced till the morning of January 31st, which was Sunday, and I didn't have time to do any filming during the rest of that day. And I had structured my 20 books so that depending on what book got picked, that would drastically affect my February TBR. And I just couldn't film it without knowing what book I was going to have to read for the BookTube Spin. So anyway, I filmed a video yesterday for my February reading plans, but you haven't seen that yet because I spent some time filming, and then I spent some time editing, and then I got to the computer. It was uploaded. It was ready to go. I was typing out my description, and my daughter Katie comes in and said something which alerted me to the fact that I had made a huge blunder with one of my reading projects or plans that I haven't even shared with you, but I was going to share it in that video, and it was such a dumb mistake that coupled with a few other mistakes I had made that I was just going to ignore. I was like, you know what? Scratch this. I am not uploading this video. So now here it is, February 2nd, and I've got library books due that I'm done with, so I may as well just go ahead and film my January wrap-up, and then hopefully later today I'll film my February reading plans, which I'll upload tomorrow. So here we go. I finished 18 books in January. Now, for me, who did more than a book a year last year, that may not seem like that many, but I did drastically decrease the number of audiobooks that I finished. I still came out a little bit ahead with more audiobooks than print books, but my print book number went way up. Mostly that's due to the fact that I read some shorter books, but still I had to read a book club book in print. I had a middle grade book that was kind of thick, and I read that in print. And I started several other books in print that I didn't finish, but still that took up reading time. So I really did great with getting more print reading done, and I listened less to audio, and I watched a lot more BookTube, and I caught up with friends that I had been neglecting by not watching their BookTube videos and things like that. I didn't yet get to any podcasts. I still want to do that. That's a goal for this year. But anyway, I'm excited that I was able to catch up with several friends on BookTube. I still have a lot more to catch up with, but I'm happy with the way the month turned out for January. So of the 18 books that I finished 10 of them on audio and 8 in print. And then I have a whopping 10 more books on my currently reading list that I carried over into February. Now, 4 of those I started with the intention of knowing that, I knew that they were going to take longer than 1 month. So those were intentional starts and intentional not finish it. Is that even a word? Not finishes? You know, I didn't finish them on purpose. Okay. Then the other 6 were all books that I would love to have finished. And one of those, I was pretty sure I was starting it too late in the month to get it done. But all the others, I would have loved to have finished, and I just didn't. So I've got 10 books on my plate right now before I even start anything else for February. And I have actually already started one book for my devotional. So anyway, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Okay, so for January, I'm going to break it down into categories just that kind of makes sense for me. So I'm just going to start, because I start my day with devotionals, let me just tell you about what I've been reading for my devotional time. I did start out the month with a C.S. Lewis book on audio. I don't have a physical copy of that, but I think it was called The Search for God, and it was a book of essays that were put together from a larger group of essays, like they had been originally published as a larger bind up, and whoever edited this version handpicked a few and put it together into a fairly short audiobook. And I listened to that on Hoopla. The reason I did is because I've noticed the last few years after using Goodreads that it will do your year in review, and it always kind of showcases your first and last book review. And I wanted my first book review of the year to be something uplifting and inspirational, and you can't go wrong with C.S. Lewis if you have that as a goal. So that's why I chose that first. So it wasn't really a book that I read during my devotional time, but it sort of fits with that category. Then in print, I read a Journey magazine from cover to cover. This has a daily devotional and some extra articles. This is a January journey, but from a previous year. And I have mentioned before, I've got a little stack. You probably can't see them, but they're right over there. A little stack of Journey magazines from early 2000s that I think some of them I read and some of them I didn't, but for whatever reason, I didn't recycle them. And now I don't get Journey anymore. So I am reading through those, and I'm trying to match up the months. So for this month, I'm reading a February edition from like 2007 or something like that. And it's great. It's fine. So then for books, I wanted to read, because I had read The Prayer of Jabez in December, I wanted to go back and look on my shelf and see what I had that was from that same author. And I found this one, this Secrets of the Vine by Bruce Wilkinson. And I read this during the first week of January. Then I did some other things, and I wanted to kind of not have quite as long of a devotional time during Ribsat and after. So then for the last 6 or 7 or 8 days of the month, I picked up this one, which is by Darlene Marie Wilkinson, who is the wife of Bruce Wilkinson. And this is Secrets of the Vine for Women. So they're all from that same series, and both of these had to do with the same subject matter, which was basically a very in-depth look at John chapter 15 of the Bible. And I really enjoyed these. These were very eye-opening. This one especially just really looked at John 15 in a kind of the same light, but yet different. It gave me a bigger, better view of that scripture. It's really easy, I think, to look at that scripture and think, oh, I know exactly what that means. But he really got into it, and it was like, oh my goodness, I never really looked at it quite like that before, and I thought it was very good. Then I also did read another Christian fiction book I listened to on audio on Audible Plus, and I don't have the actual book. This is from that same series. It's a quilting theme, and this is the series is called Quilts of Love. It's by a variety of authors. The first one in the series is by Carolyn Zane, and it's called Beyond the Storm. I rated it 5 stars because I thought that the author did a fantastic job of really telling the intensity of a tornado. The whole tornado scene just, I mean, you felt like you were right there in it. And I thought that she did a great job. The storylines were a little bit angsty, I guess, but still, I thought it was very good. And it was a Christian fiction, a little bit of romance, but mostly just a drama. And I enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to continue with the series. They are all on, almost all are on Audible Plus. So if you have Audible Plus and that sounds interesting to you, you might check it out. And you will have to probably look up the series on Goodreads so you'll know how to search, because I'm not sure if it was connected on Audible. If you look up Quilts of Love, you might get them, but I can't remember now if they were all put together as one series. But the first one is by Carolyn Zane, and I'll type the name in the description below so that you can see the spellings and everything. But anyway, so this is just another book from that series. I think this is book 5, and I do plan to continue on for as long as I keep Audible Plus, and I'll probably keep Audible Plus until I get this series done, because I really did enjoy it. Now, since it's written by different authors, each book, there's, I'm sure, going to be some books that I will like a lot more than others, but we shall see. I did enjoy it, and it had a very light quilting theme. Not, they weren't sitting around quilting all day, but there was an underlying quilt theme throughout the story. Okay, then let's see, what do I want to talk about next? Also, just while I'm still on the subject of devotions, the book I started that I will not finish until April is Embraced by Lysa TerKeurst, and I'm reading pretty much one devotion a day in that book to continue on. There's 100, so it'll take me into April to get that one done. And the next section that I want to talk about is RibSat. So I got to help co-host RibSat, the RibSat reunion. There has not been a RibSat readathon for like 3 years, and it was so much fun. I picked a shelf around the corner here that was all books that had to do with words or something of that nature. And so I finished 3 books. I started another one that I did not finish, and I still didn't finish it. I mean, I didn't finish it in RibSat, and then I still didn't finish it in the month of January. So it's one of those 10 books that I carried over that I would love to finish. And it's connected to, oh, that's not it. It's connected to, where is it? Oh, goodness. I've lost my book. Well, anyway. Well, it's just gone. It was here, and now it's not. Oh, here it is. I was looking for a book of a different color. That sounds like a title. Okay, Anonyponymous. This was fun. It was a little racy, a little off color at times. The author did not shy around about telling us about names and people who, and things that were named for people that might not be appropriate in polite conversation, but, you know, they were there. And it says it's an opinionated dictionary, and the author is John Bemelmans Marciano. It says the subtitle, The Forgotten People Behind Everyday Words. So I had another book by him, and that's the one I didn't finish. It was just a little drier than the other one, and I just had a hard time getting through it. It's called Toponymity, and it has to do with places. It's an atlas of words, and it just it has to do with names of places and commonly known things that are named after those places or are known because of those places, that kind of thing. And I just wasn't loving it and had a hard time getting through it. I will finish it because I'm a finisher, but I just couldn't get it done. And then I reread a book that was on my shelf that was just, doesn't really have anything to do with words, but I don't know, for some reason I stuck it on that shelf. It's one I had read before. My mother used to own it. I think she gave me a copy a long time ago. I passed it on to my husband's grandmother, and then she kept it. But then later, in later years, after they were both gone, I found a copy at a library book sale, and I bought it just for the nostalgia of it, and I reread it, and it's really cute. It is essays from a 9-year-old girl in the early 1900s. She wrote them while she was attending a boarding school, an Episcopal boarding school. And so they are essays that she wrote for her teacher. And then I think later in life she found them, or maybe one of her descendants found them and published them in a book. And it's called Oh Ye Jigs and Juleps by Virginia Cary Hudson. And it's just really, really cute. Very cute, and I enjoyed it. And then this one I had a hard time finding on Goodreads, but finally I looked it up by the ISBN and found it. But the book is called Quotable Quotes, The Booklover. And I didn't love this one. It just had a lot of highbrow quotes and a lot of quotes of classic authors. Some I knew, some I didn't recognize, and it was just a little over my head. I'll have to just be perfectly honest, and I just didn't love it. I think someone who really eats up classics would probably really love this, but I will read some classics, but they're not my go-to. So that book was not really a go-to for me, but I had it on the shelf, and so I read it. Then, let's see. So those are the things that I read for RibSat from my RibSat shelf. Now, during the week of RibSat, I was also reading a book club book and listening to some audiobooks, which I will tell you about later. Then, well, let's just go ahead and go into book club. So I read 4 books for book club. Now, my goal this year, I guess it's a usual typical goal for me, although I don't always accomplish it. I want to always stay at least 1 month ahead with book club. And I have 2 book clubs at the local library. One of them is a mystery book club that I lead. I don't get to choose all the books, but I facilitate the club. And then the other one is called the Literati Book Club, and that's where we read mostly literary fiction. We usually throw in at least 1 classic a year, 1 Florida book, 1 nonfiction, so it's a mix. But the books that I read, so I went ahead and read my January book and my February book for both clubs. So for the Literati Book Club, our January book was The Only Woman in the Room by Marie Benedict. And this is about Hedy Lamarr, and I really, really did enjoy this a lot. And I didn't realize what type of person she was. I didn't realize all that she had accomplished, and I think the world didn't even realize it. I don't think she got credit for a lot of the things that she did early on, but then eventually later she did get some credit, and this was a very interesting book, very good. Then for February, we are reading the Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, and I went ahead and read this in January so that I can get this book back to the library because we didn't have very many copies of it, and somebody else is going to need this one. I listened to this one on audio. I think it was on, well, it's on Audible Plus and it's on Hoopla. So you could listen to it either way if you like to listen to audiobooks. This is about a blue-skinned woman in Kentucky who is part of the Pack Horse Librarian Project or Pack Horse Library Project. And I think there's another book out that I've been hearing about, The Giver of Stars, that has a similar storyline, and I need to read that one because I think that would be good. This was very enjoyable. It was really tough at times. This woman did not have an easy life by any way, shape, or form, and went through a lot of discrimination, a lot of just, she was just very misunderstood and mistreated, and you know, it was just, it was tough. And I appreciated learning about her. Now, I think this is fictionalized, but there were actual people in Kentucky that had blue skin, and it was eventually discovered what was causing that. And this book tells a little bit about it, and her story is kind of based on their lives, but this character in this book is a fictional character. And I think the time frame of this is set a little differently. I don't know. There's some author notes that tell exactly where the changes came in from reality to this book. Anyway, I thought that was a great book, and I would definitely recommend it. So for the Mystery Book Club, for January, we read Track of the Cat, which is book 1 in the Anna Pigeon series by Nevada Barr. This is about a woman who is a park ranger out in the very tip of West Texas, and I don't think I've ever been out to that part of Texas. Now, I've been in the Texas Panhandle, but way out to the tip, the Guadalupe Mountains, I'm not sure how you say that, it's where this national park is, and so that's where she was located. And I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I really did enjoy the setting, but the main character was so cynical that I had a hard time enjoying the story because I just didn't care for her. Now, I would still go ahead and read more, and I'm hoping that there'll maybe be a little more character growth as we go along, as we go through the series, but she was just very cynical, and I need to really be able to get behind my main characters to have a love of a story, and I just had a hard time. I had a hard time with her. And then, speaking of hard times, this book and I did not get along at all. This is House of Sand and Fog by Andre Dubus III. We have this for our mystery book club because someone recommended it. Someone wanted to read it. It's an Oprah Book Club selection from several years ago, but this was not a mystery. There was some crime involved, but there was no mystery, and it was just awful. I hated this book from the beginning to the end. And I try not to rant about books much, but really, if you love this book, then I'm sorry for being so negative. But this book was just negative, and it brings out the worst in me because I didn't want to finish it. And if I didn't facilitate the book club, I really don't think I would have finished it. I wouldn't have been able to get through it. It just no. No. I'm not even gonna go any farther. Just no. Okay. Then the next group of books are series that I want to finish this year. So I had a whole video about my challenge, Get Serious About Series, and then I had another video just recently about the 21 series that I want to finish this year. And most of them are series that I only have just a few to go, like one or two, in a couple of cases more than that, but most all of my 21 series that I want to finish, I just have one or two books left to read. Now, the series that I tackled in January is one of those few series that I had several left to read, and I did get through two of them. I really enjoyed them. It's the Welcome to Partonville series by Charlene Ann Bombeck, or the Dearest Dorothy series, as I like to call them. I listened to books 2 and 3 on Scribd. Dearest Dorothy, slow down, you're wearing us out. That's book 2. And book 3, Dearest Dorothy, help, I've lost myself. Now, this is about an 86 or 7-year-old woman. That's who Dorothy is. She is delightful. She would be a treat to know in person. She's just the sweetest person. And then we have a lot of other characters who have come in. I've only gotten through 3 books so far, and I'm going to try to finish this series within the next month or two so that I can do a series review. But there is also a young mom. She's a single mom, and in the beginning of the series, she has come back to Partonville, which she calls Pardon Meville, and she's bringing her son with her. And they're coming because her aunt has died and left her a house, and she's got to do something with it. And so through it all, she decides to end up staying, not in that house, but you have to read the story to get it. And I don't want to give you a lot of spoilers, but she's not immediately accepted by most of the townspeople. Now, Dorothy is very accepting of her, but there's some mysteries involving her and her origins and things like that, and it so far has been a very good series, and I have really enjoyed it. It's not just all, a bed of roses, though. There's some, is there tragedy? I don't know if there's tragedy, but there's definitely a lot of drama involved. So it's not just a comfort series, although overall I would label it that. There is definitely a lot of, good and bad things that happen throughout at least the first 3 books. So anyway, if that sounds like a good series to you, then you'll want to check those out, especially if you like series or books with elderly main characters. Then another series that I finished, actually, is one of 3 middle grade series that are on my list to finish this year. This is The Penderwicks at Last, and I buddy read this with Krista from Books and Jams right after Ribsat. Not quite the last, about the 3rd week of the month. We read this, and this was really good. I loved it. I thought it was adorable. This whole series has just been fantastic. I will say, though, that if I had to pick one problem with this book, is that I feel like it was missing a chapter or two, because throughout this book we are leading up to a wedding, and then when we get to the end of the book where we're supposed to have a wedding, let me just give you a little spoiler. The wedding happened, but there's no chapter of it. It skips from before the wedding to after the wedding, and I feel like as readers we were a little bit cheated, and I'm like, come on, where's the wedding? So in reality, if I was going to be specific, I would probably rate this book 4.5 stars, maybe, because for most of the book, I was feeling so good. It was delightful. I loved it. But I got to the end, and I was like, okay, where's the wedding chapter? So, if I had to take away any points, that would be why. But still, I love the book. I love the series, and it was just great. So then another series that I am catching up with this month is Ready Player One. The sequel to Ready Player One came out, I think, in November, and I could not get to it before the end of the year, so I checked out the CD copy from the library, and I started in January. I've been listening to it in my car, and I'm only about half done with it at this point, and I'm gonna need to step it up just a little bit because it's a new release. It is due back at the library, I think today or tomorrow, and I'm only about half done. But anyway, I need to get this done pretty fast, and I like it okay. It does have a lot of F-bombs in the beginning, not so much in the last couple of discs, but right off the bat, you know, they threw a bunch out there, which is annoying to me. But the story has been fun, and the jury is still out on whether I will like it or love it or whatever. I remember really, really loving Ready Player One, even though I think it probably had some bad language too. I just kind of blocked that out. But anyway, we shall see how this goes, and I'm hoping to get this done fairly soon because it's due at the library. And then those are the 3 series that I have made some progress in for the month. Well, like I said, I finished one, and I'm currently reading one, and I've made some progress with Dearest Dorothy. I had one other trilogy that I started that I just wanted to get to last year, and I just never could make any headway in it. And so I did start the Homegrown series by Julie L. Cannon. This is True Love and Homegrown Tomatoes. And I got about half done with it, and then I kind of laid it aside because I wanted to finish up some more of my library books. I for sure wanted to get my book club books done, which I did, and I had some other library books that I wanted to get done that I didn't finish. But anyway, this is left sitting here only half done. So I need to try to finish this one up in February. And then I had, another one of my goals was to finish, is to finish this year 12 middle grade or YA trilogies that I had only read the first one of. And so I went ahead and reread the first one of one trilogy that I started several years ago. It's The Luck Uglies by Paul Durham, and they are all unscribed. And so I saw this one there, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and listen to the first one again because it's been a while. And I remember kind of the adventure story of it all, but I had lost a lot of the details. So now I'm ready to go ahead and read the next 2. I probably won't read the next 2 in February, though, because I have 2, I have one trilogy, a YA trilogy that is historical. So I think those will count better for the Historathon. And then I'll probably come back in March and read the other 2 books in this trilogy from middle grade March. These are kind of mysterious, so they're not real full out mysteries. I like to, in March, read middle grade mysteries if I can, because that fits for March Mystery Madness and for middle grade March. But these will have to do because of all the trilogies that I want to finish this year of the middle grade and YA trilogies, this one is probably the one that would fit with mysteries the best. So, so this will go, the other 2 in this trilogy will go on my March TBR. And speaking of mysteries, I read a Christmas-themed mystery, book 4 in the Flavia de Luce series by Ellen Bradley. And this is I Am Half Sick of Shadows, and I liked this one. I like this one much better than the rest of the series so far. The person who was murdered didn't get murdered till a little farther into the book, and we got a chance to get to know them better, and I like that. Some people don't like that. They want the murder to happen right at the beginning so that then they can figure out who did it. But learning more about the victim, I think, gave a lot more insight into the motive. So for that reason, I liked it, and I thought the victim was a very interesting character. And then, so that was a Christmas book. I also listened to, on audio, a little Christmas-themed novella or short story or whatever called The Christmas... Oh, goodness. No, it was called The North Pole Prize by Caroline Mickelson. It was, or is, book 4 in the Christmas Central series, I believe. It's just a fun little series. They're all Christmas themed. They take place at the North Pole, and they have cute covers. And if you find, you could find them on Hoopla. At least the first 5 are on Hoopla, and those first 5 used to be on, well, actually, I think only books 2 through 5 are on Hoopla. I don't think book 1 is, unless they've added it. It was on Audible Plus, or Audible Escape, and I listened to it there, and then I have come now to Audible, oh my goodness. I read the first one on Audible Escape, then I came over to Hoopla, and I read 3, 4, and 5. I had already, 2, 3, and 4. I had already listened to 5 on Audible back earlier in the year. Oh my goodness. Okay. So now I've read the first 5. The other, there's at least 3 more, and they're not on Hoopla, but they're probably on, maybe on Prime. I can probably get them on my Kindle, but I'm not going to worry about that until Christmas time. Okay, so then that is everything except for a couple of impulse reads and then a couple of things that I started that I didn't finish. So I had this one impulse read. I picked this up from the new release shelf at the library, and it took me all of about 10 minutes to read, and I've hung on to it all this time so I can show it in my wrap-up. It's called Okay Boomer, and it is, it's just various statements with the follow-up line, okay, Boomer. Because they're things that us baby boomers might say that would no longer be applicable in today's world. There were a few things that I think are not outdated, and to that you would probably say, okay, boomer. I think I said that the last time I talked about this. But, well, let's see. Let me think. A lot of these things definitely I agree with. But did you get my voicemail? Voicemail is not outdated. Yeah, I know people text, but still, people do voicemail. That's not outdated. Okay, Boomer. Anyway, it's just cute. You know, you might check this out, see if your library has it. It was really cute. It would make a cute gift for someone. And in case you're wondering, if you've not ever watched my channel before or you're new to my channel, I am 56. I will turn 57 on November 1st. And because I was born at the beginning of November of 1964, I am at the tail end of the baby boom era. It goes for... It's like a 20-year period. It's either an 18 or 20-year time frame, and it ends officially on December 31st of 1964. So I barely made it in, and I was old-fashioned before I was old. Okay, then I think that's everything. Let me go back through and see if that's everything. All right, that's everything I finished. Now, just a few other things that I am carrying over. One of the books that I started with the intention of, with the knowledge that I would probably take longer to read it, is a little workbook that I'm going through. I got this for Christmas. It is The Declutter Challenge by Cassandra Arson, and I am reading that and going through that slowly, but still, it's a lot of fun. And then I checked out from the library a book by the Fly Lady called The Chaos Cure, and I thought I would get through this a little faster, but then I got sidetracked, and so I like to read some declutter books at the beginning of the year because it always kind of inspires me to get back into decluttering, which is a perpetual need at my house. The other 2 books that I started with the knowledge that I would take several months to read them are for A Year in Mitford, because I don't really want to reread the Mitford books at this moment. They are my favorite books of all time, but I had 2 books by Jan Karon that I have never read. One of them is the Mitford Cookbook and Kitchen Reader, so I am reading that, and I'm just reading, you know, a section or 2 per month. And then I'm also reading the Mitford Bedside Companion. So I did read some out of both of those for January, and I will continue to read a section each month until I finish them. And then a couple of other library books that I did not finish. One is Christmas Cowbells. I was reading this for the Bookline Cozies Club, and I didn't get very far in it. I've got it checked out on Hoopla as an ebook, and so I was thinking I would have to finish it up like that, but then when I was at the library today, they were able to go ahead and extend this for me a little bit. And then I have this from my Newberry project. This is book 3 in the Chronicles of Prydain, The Castle of Lear by Lloyd Alexander. I am trying to work my way up to the 5th book in the series, which is The High King, which is a Newberry winner. This is book 3. Book 2 is also a Newberry honor book, and I read that and enjoyed it. I read book 1 and 2, and now I am on book 3. And I think that is everything that I have finished or that I started that I'm carrying over into February. So I will be back hopefully tomorrow with my February reading plans, and it will include all 10 of these books that I carried over from January, but I'll try not to spend too much more time on those in the next video. I'll just show you all the other myriad of books that I would like to get to in the month of February. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are having a great day. Let's chat in the comments. Read a good book, and God bless you.